aren't we always asking ourselves things like, am I even doing this correctly? And is it going to get me where I need to go? This is because there are things we desire which will require practical next steps. And it especially makes the Lord happy when we're on the same page with him. Like when Solomon prayed for understanding to know what is right. Or in the gospel, how someone is willing to sacrifice everything with joy for heavenly treasures. God places beautiful and powerful desires within us, in our hearts, as a part of his plan for us to reach that fullness of life and complete joy he wants for us. Desires for what is good and holy and true, desires for safety and love and purpose and belonging, the kinds of desires that, when tapped into, are life-giving, a driving force for everything else we do, a way to stretch us out in preparation for the even greater blessings yet to come. Here are two examples of what this looks like. A little girl, only 9 years old, ran away from home. When her parents found her and brought her back, they asked her why she did it. She responds, "I was going off to be martyred by those who are persecuting the church because I want to see God." We now know her as Saint Teresa of Avila, who is responsible for reforms to the Carmelite order that resulted in 34 new convents and monasteries, along with 3 classic books which are still being sought out by Catholics to this day, 500 years later. The Catechism says we seek God because to desire him is always the beginning of love. So, the way to become a saint who lives a fruitful life of great love begins with desiring God. I want to see God. Here's the second example. Another little girl's heart was moved by the plight of the neglected in her country. She ended up building a system of Catholic schools in 13 different states, plus 90 mission centers in 16 states. She says that in prayer before the Blessed Sacrament, she would nurture great desires. Her name? Saint Catherine Drexel. She would sit with the Lord in the Eucharist and nourish great desires in her heart, and that's how all those other things were made possible. Every one of us is meant to live that kind of life with the same kind of impact. We are made for it, designed to search for true happiness, which can only be found in God, seeing his face and experiencing his goodness. The problem is that we are often attached in unhealthy ways to the things of this world, and it's getting in our way, holding us back. Last week, I encouraged us to practice humility and focus in our prayer, finding a quiet place, setting our timer, asking Jesus for help, and understanding that distractions reveal the ways our hearts need to return to the Lord and be purified. This week, why don't we work on praying with the deepest desires of our hearts, seeking clarity from God for next steps, because if prayer is our vital and personal relationship with the living and true God, then pursuing holy desires and taking action is how we are going to make this world a better place.